Hi guys, and welcome back here to the DevRam, and today we carry on our awesome series about our MMO framework. And if you guys remember, what we did in the last episode is that we have created this selected here. We haven't done much, but now we have the ability to basically get the right index for hair, gender, and then we can check and select the box, and then we can do the selection. So what we're going to be doing today here is that we're going to be doing the selection. All right, so without wasting too much time, let's get started. Now that we have created here our new function, we have the selected, generic selected here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this here, right? And for the gender selection, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do a bind event on the EV user selection, right? And I'm going to get the hair selection. I'm going to bind event on the user selection. That's good. Now, the next thing we need to do here is that we need to create an API, custom event called API gender selection. And now we need to copy, we need to create here a custom event called API user selection. And now I'm going to put it, actually, this is not going to work. I need to create from here called custom event called API hair selection. And this one I can delete it. Right. Now we're just gonna duplicate this variable, and we're gonna call selected instead of color. We're gonna put gender, right? And we're gonna duplicate this function, this variable, and we're gonna call selected hair. Nice. Hair. Now compile and save. Great. Next thing we are gonna do here, we need to do is that we're gonna just copy those functions. We're gonna put it here, and copy and paste that. Nice. And now the next thing that we need to do is that we need to first pass the events. They're going right and left, right? Now we need to pass the max array length, right? And we need to get here our, which one is that? That is the gender, which should be 2 here, but let's get length, right? Get or just go length. There we go. So the max length of this array 2. Oh, I just missed. Just did a spelling mistake here. Let me just fix that. Length. There we go. Compile and save that. Now if I go back here, don't worry about that. So now we need to pass the current selected option, which should be 0 by default. And now if I compile and save that, what do I get? Let me have a look. I got 0. Yeah, that's great. And now we're gonna just put this one here. We just need space to work here. Okay. Now, the next thing we need to get is the hair. We need to get the length as well. So length of the hair. We're gonna put the length right here. And now we have the selected option, which will be 0 as well. And now we need to do the same thing. We get here, we plug it this variable right there, and we're gonna plug this variable right here as well. All right, that is great. So far, so good. So far, so good. We have done this stuff properly. Now, let's make sure that we're gonna introduce you guys to a different concept here to create organization, because those nodes, they need to run in the sequence when they start. These can get very complicated, very, very, let's say, annoying to work with. So one thing that we can implement it here is the ability to hide those nodes to make it complex functions into small, less complex functions. Let me show what I mean here. So here, we are gonna select our nodes, right? We're gonna right click, and I am gonna basically collapse into a node, collapse nodes. And then it's going to select the nodes that I want to call. And basically, I want to call this color selection, right? So if you just go back here to my event graph, I'm just going to rename this to call color selection. And then I'm going to call dash node. And I am going to do the same for those guys here. I'm going to call this gender selection node. And I'm going to call the same for this. I'm going to do the same for this. Collapse nodes. Why doesn't allow me to... Oh yeah, collapse nodes. And I'm going to call this hair selection node. Great. Nice, nice. That's good. Now, as you can see, everything looks great already. Everything looks so small. And now let's get the hair name display on the bottom of the page. All right. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. And I think the way that I would like to do it, it's, I mean, you can do it here. I'm not going to complicate this too much. I'm going to do it in the simple way. Because we can add an event notify on the variable, and then we can do it this way. But I think it is nice. I prefer to do more, especially if you're beginning with Unreal, step by step. If you find your, your key change and then you do it right there. Because otherwise, if you put functions in functions in functions, you get, especially if you're new to the engine, you get into a mess and you don't understand what's happening. But anyway, so now that we have this stuff, we can basically get our color array and we can get it's a valid index, right? Valid index. We're going to plug it right there. And I'm going to create here a branch. I'm going to plug this value right here, right? Great. Now, if we have a valid index, what we would like to do is to get the color select, and we can call the API set the title, right? And you're probably asking, okay, what is the title here again? So the title now is the value that we're accessing from our color options. In our case here, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to get. And there is a difference here, guys, between get a copy and get a reference. But basically, get a copy, as the name say, is that I'll get my array. I'll create a copy on my memory, and then I can, do whatever I want with that data. It won't affect the original array. If I get a reference, that basically will change. If I start to mess up with data inside the array, I will change the array because I'm getting the reference of the object. All right. We're probably gonna get here a copy, right? Actually, no. Let's get the reference because the reference is more memory efficient. But anyway, now that we have the selected option, I can just drag the selected color option. I can break down, and hopefully this will start to work, right? So if I do here, blue, yellow, red. Do we have any errors? We don't have any errors, which is great. Look at that. That's really great. So you got the yellow, the colors changing, which is great. If we use tab, I can press tab. We go back. I can use the keyboard to control that, which is great. Nice. Now that means that this is working. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do exactly the same logic for the other graphs, right? So I'm going to copy this because I just want to make it easy for me to remember what I did here. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to plug all this stuff right here. Don't need to worry about it, right? I'm going to go back here. Let me align all those nodes. And now we're going to paste in there. I'm going to do like that. We have here not the color options, but the get, it's a valid index, right? Plug right here. And then we're going to copy that, put it here, get a reference. And then we're going to have the selected option right here. Gender selection option. Yeah, that's good. We don't need that. We can break this value And we're gonna do to string, gender enum to string, and I'm gonna put it right here. Great. Now, now we just need to change our gender selection component. So we need to call it API set title. I'm gonna put it right here, and that should be everything that we need to do right here. Compile and save. Now let's try to see if that works. For some reason that's not working. Let's double check why that's not working. So I think let's add a debug here and let's check why that's not working. It's not registering the event properly by the looks of it. If I press compile and save and play, it is triggering, which is good, but for some reason is not triggering the event. Let's try why. I see. Sorry, it's because I'm clicking on the hair. Sorry, I just realized that. Whoops. It's too early, guys, in the morning. Anyway, so we have the hair now set up, and now I have female and I have male. Nice. And I have the color blue, whatever. Great. Now let's do the same for the hair, right? Now the hair here, I'm gonna just go back here to the event graph, same logic that we're gonna do right here. And I'll probably wanna carry on with executional, just so I may need to add more variables there. So we got a selected hair, right? We're gonna get valid index, right? Put it here. We're gonna create a branch. And now what we're gonna do here is that we are gonna basically get the hair option. We're gonna get a reference, put it right there, here. And I'm just gonna create a break. And we're gonna get the hair option. And we're gonna get, no, I already have the reference, sorry. We just need to set up now the hair selection. And we need to call the API set title, not the label. And the title will be the name, right? And that's pretty much all we need to do right here, right? Compile and save. Hair, blue, hair one. Yeah, nice. Now we have just a little problem, just a design problem. That right now, if you check here on our color hair and all that stuff, we need to kind of reload this as the first element. I can do it dynamically, or I can manually say hair 1, hair 2. But let's just do it dynamically, because otherwise, it just looks nice, because you're gonna have different names on your spreadsheet that I have on mine, and then you just maybe want to reload this automatic. So let's go back here to our graph here. Right, so what you need to do is on here, when you open up the data, right? First thing we gotta do is this. I'm gonna copy this whole logic here, right? And I'm gonna paste it right there, right? And let's see if this is gonna work. Now we should see the color being able to change. And I need to get, oh yeah, let me just delete that. I'm gonna press get, and then I'm gonna put it right here, right? Press play. I have red. Nice. And I have no errors, which is great. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna apply, this logic for my other components. I'm gonna go back here, gender selection. I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that, copy, I'm gonna put it here. I wanna get the first position, so I'm just gonna literally copy that, paste it here. I mean, I could create a function that would dynamically do that for me, where I just pass the component, I pass the array I wanna do it. But anyway, it's such a small thing that let's just do this way. Let's test it and see if it works. mail, great. But anyway, guys, if you don't want to keep compiling, you can just press save on compile. The only reason why I don't like to use save on compile is just because sometimes you don't really want to save, as you know, you don't want to compile when you save. You want to, I feel safer when I hit that button, because sometimes you put, let's say you get to a situation where you got a bunch of nodes and then you didn't plug them correctly, and then for some reason, it happened to me in the past, their Unreal just crash because the nodes are not connected. So in this way, I'd rather have control of that. But you have that option there for a reason if you want. But anyway, so you can also save on success as well, but I'll just like to leave it as default for now. So now we got this stuff properly set up. We're gonna go here to our hair selection. Great. Now we got this. I'm just gonna copy that, paste it here. It's gonna put 0. I need this, right, to be added right here. Put the output, put this one right here. And now I'm gonna align everything. We should start to have our UI proper setup. Look at that, we have done it. We have created our selection. It's not changing the player yet, but don't worry, we're gonna do that in the next one. But I think what I want you guys to do right now is just to make sure that you fully understand what we did here. First of all, understand why we did this, why we created so many functions, and why we basically, and like how much time we saved. Because often in many tutorials I see people copy and paste a bunch of things together, but the problem with that is that at the end of the tutorial is a mess. You have a lot of functions and things. So what I would like you guys to do here right now, if you can, is just go back to each individual node and maybe add a description, maybe wanting to help identify a problem. For example, here, you change this color to, let's say pink, and then you change this here to red, and like just try to color code your program or your progress here to make sure that you have all those bits making sense to you. Make sure you take your time to name to variables, especially if you're a beginner. If you're not rushing through the tutorial, make sure you take your time to add proper names to functions. Make sure you use this concept here that we just implemented to create nodes. So maybe you can collapse this to a function or collapse this to a node, and then that's reusable. That's up to you. But those things that will make you a very, at the end of this course, you're gonna learn so much about this organization that you're going to start to apply on your next projects. Because believe me, I work with many different projects before, and that caused a lot of errors. One thing that I noticed, that I just spotted an error here, a really big error that I did here, and I want to see if you guys have spotted here, that I just want to change, is that we are doing a for each loop and we are adding a unique and carry on the line. The problem with this logic is that if you have, let's say, 3,000 lines here, you're going to do 3,000 loops, and this is never going to get hit. So I just want you guys to expand here, right? Make sure you unplug this connection, and you do it once it's completed. Or on this case, you do it right here, all right? And let's do the same for the other one. I'm just gonna add it here to make it look a little bit pretty. So I'm gonna do it right there. That doesn't look good. Let's just align here. Make sure you break this connection and you put this connection right here. Let's align those nodes. And here is the same. So instead of doing that, you do once is completed. All right. Compile and save that. Now if I press play, I should still have the same logic. It shouldn't change that much. But what happened there is that we're basically calling on every loop. Because we have 2 or 3 data, Unreal Engine can handle that easily. But that's a big flaw now on my design. So just make sure you do that on the complete, as you can see here. But anyway guys, so Once again, thank you very much for watching. It's been very nice so far. We managed to do very complex things in a very simple way. There's a lot of more complex things to come in this project. We're gonna do the character selection. We have to do the scene switcher. We need to do a login screen. We need to do I'm gonna probably do an inventory system and a kind of an auction house so we can send data to our server in a nice way. But once again, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one.